Hello everyone, I'm Vin, Senior Product Manager at Pure Storage, and today we are going to talk about ActiveWorkload. If you are part of the storage infrastructure team, you must have had the need to move specific workloads from the storage array to another storage array. It could be because with your growing needs, you acquire more storage hardware and you want to move certain workloads from the existing storage arrays to the new ones. Or because there are some more demanding workloads now that your existing array cannot accommodate, and you need to find the storage array as a destination that has the resources and capacity to accommodate those. Or your hardware is just at the end of life, you need to retire it, and you need to evacuate the workloads running on it and move it to a new array. Whatever the reason may be, you're not alone. There are some existing approaches which you could take to move workloads from an array to other. However, the problem is that they all lead to disruption to the host and the apps running against that storage array. For that problem, to make workload mobility easier, we have released ActiveWorkload. ActiveWorkload is a non-disruptive workload mobility feature that is based off our stretched clustering technology. Our stretched clustering technology is also a foundational block for our high availability active cluster solution. And now we have enhanced our stretched clustering technology to support not just one, but from one array to up to 5 different arrays connectivity, which facilitates this workload mobility use case and makes it much more simpler. Now let me tell you how it works. So in this diagram, as you see, we have a FlashArray X. Let's assume that you are a Pure customer and you start with a FlashArray X, which is running 3 different types of workloads: VM workload, a DB workload, and a VDI workload. Your host is running over here, which has the apps that are being used by the business. And your host is connected to this array. At this point of time, all the IOs are happening against this FlashArray. However, you have purchased a brand new FlashArray XL for the most demanding workload in your environment, which is the database workload, and you decide to move it. What would you do? The step 1 is to establish a connection between the 2 arrays, your source and your target. So let's draw it out with a dotted line. Once you have established the connection, the next step is to stretch this volume, which is where our stretch clustering technology comes in. While stretching, it establishes a synchronous replication relationship between the 2 arrays for this specific volume. And it will start replicating this database workload, the volume associated with it, to the FlashArray XL, the target array. Once the data has been replicated completely, this volume will show up here. Now, until this point of time, the host is still sending the IOs to this array and there is no disruption. There is no change in how this was working so far, so the businesses don't even know what's happening. Now, once the data is available on the second FlashArray, this volume is essentially the same volume in terms of its serial number. So from this FlashArray, you would configure this host to be connected. Let's draw it as a solid line, and expose more paths from this host to the same volume. Once you configure that, the IOs start happening against this FlashArray. You can then remove or let the older paths be based on your host. And at that point of time, you can move this volume and deposit it locally to this FlashArray. And that's it. You connect the target FlashArray, you stretch the volume using the pod. Third, you deposit the volume into that FlashArray. Throughout this process, initially the host was using this FlashArray, and now the host is using this FlashArray via a different path. However, there's no disruption to the host and the apps. Now, this is very useful if you just want to move workloads from a source array to a target FlashArray. What happens if you have a fleet of FlashArrays and you want to move this workload to this array and then this workload to some other array, or the VDI workload to a next array? For that reason, we have, like I said, enhanced our stretch clustering technology to support multiple FlashArray connections. So while this is happening, you could also establish a connection with a dotted line, let's say, to the second FlashArray in your fleet, and then stretch this volume as well, and start replicating it. Once it shows up on the second FlashArray, you would do the same host connection from here to here, and then allow the app and the host to forward the IOs onto the second FlashArray. With that, you can move not just 2 workloads simultaneously, but we actually can support up to 1, 2, a third, a fourth, and a fifth FlashArray with this array itself. And you can move workloads across 5 different FlashArrays simultaneously in one go. Now, whenever I share this kind of functionality with our customers who have been using traditional storage platforms, they always ask me, Vin, I like this feature, but tell me how much does it cost? And I always tell them that with Pure, you're subscribing to innovation. If you're a Pure customer, you just need to upgrade your software to 6.4.0 and above, and you can enjoy the benefits of ActiveWorkload. There's no extra licensing, there's no extra hardware required to enable this feature. So I hope this utility is useful for you. Thanks for tuning in today. And for more details, you can click the link below.